Today we're going to take a fresh look at SUPERHOT VR on the Quest 2 and seeing if this game still holds up today. VR has come a long way since this game's initial release, and it goes on sale in the Quest store quite often, so let's see if it's still worth a purchase. Also, there was a lot of controversy surrounding this game a year or so ago, and I want to share my thoughts on all of that as well, so stick around to the end of the video and we'll talk about it. If all of that stuff sounds good to you, do me a solid and hit that like button and we'll get right into it. So SUPERHOT is basically the OG VR game. It was originally released back in 2016 as a flat screen title and rebuilt for VR later that same year, which in the world of virtual reality makes it a fucking dinosaur. To put that into perspective, that's 3 years before the original Oculus Quest came out. It was a huge hit for PlayStation VR, which also released in 2016, and it cemented itself as the must-play game of that time. Now, despite all of its popularity, I never really played this game until recently, and I wanted to talk about it because it genuinely surprised me. Here's a super quick rundown of how the game works. You're placed into do-or-die scenarios where people are trying to kill you, and using only what's around you, you have to get them before they get you. But there's a twist. Time only moves when you move. This takes what would be a fast-paced secret agent blastathon and pours a dump truck of strategy on it. The ability to freeze time by standing still or slow it down to a crawl by moving slowly allows you to calculate every move and makes some wild shit possible, like cracking a guy with a bottle and catching his gun mid-air, or dodging bullets before ripping the gun right out of someone's hand. It's hard to describe just how fucking awesome this feels in VR. Each level is like a puzzle that you have to solve, with the solution being kill everyone as efficiently as possible. The mechanics are simple but work really well. Grab stuff, throw stuff, move, aim, shoot. Everything does what it's supposed to, and it's quite a smooth experience. The game gets pretty difficult as you progress, and you will die a lot. But with every replay of a level, you learn more about enemy movements and how things will play out if you try this or that, and it's incredibly rewarding when you get through a situation that had been frustrating you. When it comes to graphics, SUPERHOT has a very simplistic polygon art style, sort of like Pistol Whip, which was a really good choice in my opinion, as it allows the game to hold up better in later years. It feels like an art choice, more than just old dated graphics. In between levels, you find yourself in a room filled with old computers, and you load the next sequence of events by sliding a 3.5-inch floppy into one of the PCs and putting on a headset. This really brings the immersion of the game up a notch, as it makes these life or death scenarios feel like part of some kind of experiment by a rogue programmer, which makes the game a much more cohesive experience than if you just played through the levels without any sort of buffer in between. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the big controversy that sprung up around this game about a year ago. After you completed all the levels in SUPERHOT, you're placed back into the computer room and presented with a gun. And in order to complete the game, you have to use it on yourself. And you might be thinking, hey man, spoiler alert. Well, a spoiler alert isn't necessary because the entire scene was removed from the game back in 2021 after some supposed backlash the developers received, which I think is a real shame. Not that removing this scene makes the game any worse or anything, it's literally a seconds-long event at the game's finale, but it's what the developers originally wanted for this game. And honestly, after playing this game, that ending kinda makes sense. And what's really crazy to me is that there already was a previous update which added an option to turn off disturbing scenes, which accomplished the same exact thing. But at least you had the option to experience the game the way the developers intended. Anyone who purchased this game after 2021 including me, will not get to experience the original version. And I want to be clear, I don't blame the devs at all for removing it, as they were pressured by outside forces to do so. These outside forces most likely being upset parents of young Quest 2 users. The game existed for years in its original form and wasn't permanently changed until 2021 after Quest 2 sales went ballistic. I don't want to harp on this too much, as SUPERHOT is still an excellent game and this in no way should deter you from purchasing it. But games are art, and SUPERHOT is without a doubt a true work of art, and I don't think art should be censored. So to wrap this whole thing up, does SUPERHOT hold up in 2022? 100%. If you haven't played this game, you should. It goes on sale all the time in the Oculus store as well, so do yourself a favor and pick it up when you can. It's an incredibly innovative game that delivers an excellent VR experience, even by today's standards. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me all the way to the end. I really appreciate all of you. If you want to support the channel, do me a solid and hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps me out. You can support the channel even more by leaving a comment. Let me know how you feel about SUPERHOT getting censored. I'd love to hear what some of you think about it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you like games with this art style, check out my 2022 review of Pistol Whip popping up on your screen right now.